Oh yeah, 100%. Now, when it comes to like the snowball effect, like when did that really? Because I'm talking the business side of things, right?
Yeah.
So, at what age was it becoming more of a business mindset for you?
That actually started when I was around 16, 17.
Oh, sweet.
Still in college. I came into quite a bit of money and was able to heavily invest. You know, ball pythons were trending high like they are now. So when I go into something, I go in hard, you know, fully committed. So
right.
Yeah. So around, you know, good time. Yeah.
So we're talking about 15 years ago ish.
Yeah. About that. Okay. Yeah.
So hold on, let me do the math. So early 2000s, which is a heavy time to come in because
2006, 2007. Yeah.
Right. So yeah. So okay, because I always hear there was like pastels going for a few thousand, and this is like, is this early 2000s when pastels were really high on money, or
yeah? I mean, I picked up my first pastel male for £2,500, so $3,000 now in today's money.
Jesus,
you wouldn't do that now, would you?
Yeah, and because from what I understand, Dave, and this is just based off what I'm hearing, like, and this is getting a lot better, but UK ball python market isn't as diverse and available as it is in the United States. Like we have a lot more.
It's been like that
forever,
pretty much the entirety, you know. Although we had a few morphs that sort of originated here, but they all went to the States and then they blew up. You know?
So really with you, it all started with the ball pythons when it comes to the business side of things, correct?
With the business side of it, it was ball pythons, yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So at that point, did you hire like a crew? Was it just a one-man team? Like what was like the operation like?
It was me completely solo, but I had help from my dad, which was very, very good. Nice. But yeah, all solo. I was working at the time, but then a few years passed and that kind of went away and I was doing the ball pythons full time. This was when there was a big boom. A few years passed and it's starting to downturn a little bit like it did in the States as well. But here it was really tough. So around that time, I did have to scale back and pick up some part-time work as well. But, you know, it's fun regardless. No matter what scale you do it, it's fun all the way.
It really is, you know, and like there's things that people do to make it not fun. You know what I mean? Like, and that's their own doing basically, you know? Exactly, yeah. But if you keep it fun, like you said, no matter what scale you're at, you're having fun.
Yeah,
you know
got 1, 2, 1,000. Yeah,
exactly. And like really, like if your goal, and this isn't like nobody preaches to get into ball pythons to make a living, but guess what? It's very feasible.
You can do it, yeah.
If you play your cards right, if you don't worry about wanting to make a dime for the first 5 years, and you fucking just hold, and then you market yourself. Because the thing is, people think they could just sit on shit and just be hermits, and not nowadays, dude. Like nowadays,
you've got to put yourself out there. Yeah,
you got to put yourself out there, or you got to be known by somebody. Like you better be good homies with Justin, and he just puts you on a video. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like because I am friends with some people who are real close to Justin, who like, dude, they don't put themselves out there nearly as much, but they will at a show. But at a show, they're right next to Justin. So it's like, oh, no wonder you don't need to do much work. You know what I mean? But for not everyone has that case. You know what I mean? For the most part, if you're coming in here and you don't know nobody.
Yeah, you're on your own. You've got to put yourself out there. Yeah.
Dude, you better go to shows. You better fucking tap in. You better join Patreon pages. Like, you just better be on top of it. But anyway, so let's go back to, you know, the beginning stages. Now, I know your first, like, let's just say David Rushen Reptiles became an official business at 17, 16, or like
a little bit later, just as a sort of self-employed. But I was trading under a different name, which is Blood Ball Reptiles. I've been doing that for a long time.
Called what? What was it called?
Blood Ball Reptiles.
Blood Ball Reptiles.
Ball, yeah. So that was going for a long time, but some meaning behind the name kind of lost its way a bit. So a few years ago, I just changed, just put my name on it, and then everyone knows where I'm at then.
So at that point, Dave, when you were like officially like business mindset producing ball pythons, how many clutches were you at that year? Like how much?
I was doing at my best was about 60 to 70 clutches a year from 110 females breeding.
Solo too, like by yourself, all work. You know, damn.
Yeah.
See,
but if you're doing that full time, you've got as much time as you can give.
Yeah, for sure.
Time is the killer more than anything. Yeah.
And you can't get that back to time. That's
no, exactly.
People don't understand, like, and that's okay. What's great about this interview is you could relate to so many different species other than ball pythons.
Yes.
And you and I can agree, ball pythons 9 out of 10 is a walk in the park. It's a fucking pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Like, if you don't, if you're somebody to where if it works, don't change it and you stick to it, dude, you're gonna get a really high success rate with the ball pythons. And
you've got to do a lot to screw up.
Right. But when we're talking about different species that take a lot more time, like let's say maturity to breed, not only that, like let's say half the clutch won't eat, half the clutch you got to fucking assist feed. Like, let's talk about chondros. Like, dude, that should be an expensive snake. Like, that is a lot of time. I'm talking about one that has been bred within that country. Like, dude, that I've seen people just literally on the verge of just quitting because how frustrating it is feeding 20 fucking little tiny snakes that are trying to run away from you.
Yeah.
But there's many other species. Anyways, I just let me ask you this. So with the ball pythons, at what point were you thinking, okay, maybe I should get into a different species, or you start looking at other stuff to dabble in?
Yeah, I mean, the ball pythons were my bread and butter for the business, but my true passion has always been the bloods.
Right.
And they are what I'm doing now. They're my main focus. But yeah, dabbling with other things, they just sort of came along over the years. But I'd say over the last probably 5-6 years, I've really sort of branched out into other cool things.
Okay. And so it was just ball pythons, the bloods, like that was like pretty much it, like just ball python bloods.
Pretty much, yeah, around the same sort of time. But
now I got into bloods for a little bit, but then I realized that there were short tails and like not, I was calling things bloods that were an actual short tail. It got pretty confusing for a little bit. So like, what are your projects with the bloods? I mean, is there a distinct morph that you're like known for, or you like to work with, or?
Yeah, I mean, I recently picked up a piebald. So those are a pretty big deal at the moment.
Yeah, I forgot about that, dude. Okay, all right. Shout out to Sound Serpents, but one of my Patreon members was like, he sent me a pic, and I was like, "Oh, what the fuck is that?" He's like, "Are you kidding me? You don't know what this is?" I was like, "No, really, what is it?" He's like, "Dude, the guy you're bringing on, this is his snake." And I'm gonna show it right now. And dude, this thing was insane, bro. And I mean, since we're already on the topic of it, we ought as well dip into it. So let's just talk about the background about this snake right here. Like, this is nuts. Like, tell me more about this pied blood, right?
Yeah, pied. Yeah.
Tell me about it.
So, like the ball pythons, simple recessive gene. So, you know what you're dealing with. I first saw them, I believe it was around 10, 11 years ago. There was one terrible picture of a wild caught animal on a shipping crate in Indonesia. And that was the last we saw of it. You didn't see it for years. And then I kind of got wind of where it ended up in the US. And then a good buddy of mine down in Florida, he knows where it was, and he was very, very good. And he hooked me up, basically. Wow. So getting it was literally dream come true for me. That's been my pinnacle to reach for like 10 years.
And that came from Indo.
Yeah, I look at it now still, open the tab, I can't believe it. But
that's sick.
It's just, you're used to them being just red animals, and have that pattern, that color. It's just so much cool to work with, and it just the originals came from Indo, but they are now captive bred in the US. But this is the first one outside the US.
And was this picked out of the wild, or was this bred in an Indo farm?
Yeah, and luckily she's also, I believe, possible for a teen egg albino. So first generation could be quite good when she's up to size.
Dave, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
This one was bred in the US. They're now bred in the US.
All right, hold on. Thank you for watching this week's Trap Talk clip. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, drop me a comment. And if you're looking for exclusive, non-release content here on YouTube, you're going to want to go down to the link and join the Trap Talk Patreon family. Once you become a part of the Patreon family, you get a link to the Discord, and then you also get tapped into all unreleased content. Thank you so much for all the love and support, and I'll catch you guys here next week. Cheers!